Yo, what's up everybody? Isaac here coming to you with another New World video. Today's video is going to be talking a little bit about what kind of gear you need to be running M10s. People have been getting kind of crazy carried away with thinking that you need just extra over-the-top gear. But the reality is, you really don't. You just need to keep it simple. You need to have a few of the right things in the right places. But other than that, you just do not need to get too carried away. So, just whatever in chat, I seen someone mentioning they're looking for a healer, and that healer had to have 7 pieces of refreshing on their gear in order for them to accept them, and that is just crazy. So literally all you need for refreshing as a healer, have refreshing move on your staff, and you need to have blessed. Literally you could have these 2 perks and you're going to be fine. But it is very easy to get a name drop. You can get a name drop from many different dungeons that are going to have blessed and refreshing move. And the 3rd perk, I like Keen Beacon because it's going to help our team do extra damage. But literally you just need to have these 2 here, and you got to have the right attribute, blessed and refreshing move. And then as a healer, you also are going to want to have sacred and hardy. You could literally have this ring with just 2 perks and you're going to be perfect. You don't need this 3rd perk. I have leeching, I like leeching, but it's just kind of what was there, so I went with it. And then let's take our amulet for example. You want the protection amulet, and even these, you're not always going to have an amulet with protection for your first time getting up to M10. You should be able to get one because you could get your hands on one for 5k. Basically pay somebody to craft you a 2-perker, and probably going to cost you somewhere around 5k or something. So you can craft one, literally a 2-perker that's got health and protection for whichever type of dungeon you're going to be running. So literally a 2-perker is all you need for your amulet, health and then protection. And then for our earring, refreshing toast, that's kind of a must-have. And then you can even get away without this, but I strongly recommend as a DPS or a healer, you start looking to get beloved or evasive on your earring. It's gonna help you have a little bit more survivability, and it's gonna make the mobs focus more readily on the tank and less readily on you. So purifying toast, it's here, it's handy, but it's definitely not a must-have. So you only need a nice 2-perker for your earring. Your ring, a nice 2-perker, sacred hardy, refreshing toast and evasive. See, no refreshing, no refreshing, no refreshing. So then on our armor, you literally just need corrupted ward, and well, I do happen to have refreshing evasion on quite a few of these pieces just because I do got this named set. But you could literally go ahead and craft 2-perkers. You could craft 3 pieces with refreshing, and then maybe you craft the other 2 with weapon perks on them. So that's what I did here. I went and I crafted this piece. We have corrupted ward and we have purity of light. Allies with a debuff remove a splash of light are healed for 48% of your weapon damage. So just a nice little extra perk, not an absolute must-have, but it's beneficial to have it. And I did find this piece on the market. I should have just went and made one of these as well instead of paying a few extra K to buy it, but I guess I was feeling lazy and I just went and bought this one off the market. So corrupted ward and fortifying sacred ground. And resilient, it doesn't do us any good. So we got our boots with refreshing evasion, we have our legs with refreshing evasion, and our headpiece with refreshing evasion. So basically, for all intents and purposes, these are 2-perkers, corrupted ward, refreshing evasion on these 3 pieces, and these 2 pieces with weapon perks and refreshing ward. But literally you could get away with just ward for the specific dungeon type on all of your armor, and then a staff with refreshing move and blessed, and then a ring with sacred, outgoing healing additional. And obviously blessed gives us additional outgoing healing. And refreshing move, light and heavy attacks reduce your active weapon cooldowns. So you go ahead and you cast your ability, but then you go and hit the mobs, and you're going to reduce that cooldown, and you're going to have your abilities back up in no time with that refreshing move. So, and then on our back bar for this, Void Gauntlet, pretty common weapon for a healer to run, but there's definitely other ones you could get away with. You definitely could get away with running a hammer here. Run a hammer with focus, and then you just use it to knock down the mobs so you can stay alive and then get back to healing your teammates while your DPS come and take care of the mobs that you just stunned. So you don't need anything crazy special for your back bar. Sure, if you can, as you start getting more and more advanced and say you decide, I want to start doing speedruns, well, then you're going to want, perhaps a Void Gauntlet, Oblivion. You're going to want to pull out, what is this thing called again? Your Void Blade and do some extra DPS. But getting started off, you do not want to be focusing on your secondary weapon. You want to be making sure you're constantly keeping your teammates alive. Just focus on keeping your life staff out, and then only pull out your second bar when you need it. But other than that, focus on keeping everybody alive with your life staff. So basically, you just need this weapon to be leveled up to whichever gear score you need, specifically for whichever mutation level you're doing, and then it needs to have the attributes in the right place. That's literally all you need to get started with. You don't need anything crazy over the top. So here's another example. Let's go and check out my tanking set for Lost. So my tanking set for Lost is very poor. I've thought about upgrading it a few times, and I definitely could. I'd have no problem. I could go buy some stuff, I could go craft some stuff, but I basically have almost all one perkers on my Lost tanking gear. Thought about upgrading a few times, but over and over I thought, you know what, I like to keep it like this for now, just to show people that you don't need crazy over the top gear. So this is my Lost Ward stuff. Lost Ward and Refreshing. So this one's good, but it has 10 focus, which is, not good. But you can get away with one piece having the lower amount. You wouldn't want this to be focused, but even if it was, you could still get away with it. But let's try not to get too carried away with our attributes being in the wrong place. So we do have one piece with Lost Ward and Refreshing, so that's a pretty good piece, other than this focus is very bad. Our chest piece. Lost Ward, luck doesn't help us, Leeching Path of Destiny. I don't hardly ever use this as a tank. So, just a dead perk and Lost Ward. That's all it is, it's a one perker. Our helmet, Lost Ward. Crit Rat doesn't do anything. Refreshing Ward, this is actually pretty good as a tank. So, this one is a two perker. Lost Ward, Refreshing Ward. And then, that was that one. So, let's look at our gloves. We have Lost Ward, Crippling Blast Shot, does no good for us as a tank. Luck, nothing, no help. Then we have Dex and Con, which I'm fine with Dex. I maybe prefer Strength to give me more options, but I do like to run. I like to split my attributes to maximize damage output potential. So, and then we move on to our legs, and once again, literally just a one piecer. This Invigorated, it's not really going to do anything for us in the Lost Dungeon. So, pretty much just a one perker. So, we literally have two pieces of armor that are two perkers, and the rest are one perkers. So, really poor quality tanking armor, but I do perfectly just fine tanking in the Lost Dungeons, B&B, or the other one, Starstone. It's more than enough. So let's go take a look at my Angry Earth stuff. Literally just one perkers. I did finally get a couple of upgrades. For example, this one right here. I got Accelerated Resolve. So this is the only extra perk basically that I have on my tanking set, other than Angry Earth. So we do have Blight Resistance on this full set, which is nice to have one or two pieces with Blight Resistance, so you're not having to deal with getting blighted. But you don't need it on all 5 pieces by any means. But so that's what I started off with, is 5 pieces of this set. We have Angry Earth Ward, Blight Resistance, which is, other than one or two pieces, it's a completely dead perk. So, and then we have the attribute, and we have a gem slot, so we can put whatever gem we need into it. That's literally all you need. So for the longest time, I just had 5 pieces of basically a one perker, and then 1 or 2 pieces with Blight Resistance is nice, but as far as the typical bonuses that you're getting that people are always looking for, it's not there. So 5 piece of 1 perkers is what I got away with the longest time, and I finally got 1 extra perk on 1 piece, Accelerated Resolve. And this one's gold too. I don't know why I ever leveled this one up. It was just silly. I got it and leveled it up, even though I had this piece and this extra vigor that I get. It's no good. Shouldn't have ever leveled it up, but it is what it is. So literally a 5 set piece of 1 perkers, except the legs, which I used to be just like these ones, but I decided to upgrade once I got this specific drop for Accelerated Resolve, which is a very nice perk to have as a tank. But this is not one that I had for the longest time, and I've done videos using this stuff with 1 perkers where I'm running as a tank with 100 con as a greatsword tank. So running greatsword and you're taking even extra damage, only running 100 con, and we only have 1 perker. So just kind of goes to show you don't need crazy over the top gear. It is important that you do try and get your weapons decent, but they don't need to be some kind of a crazy 3 perker either. So you do want to have, say, at least 2 crowd control weapons in your whole group. You should have at least 1 axe, and it's good to have 1 hammer. And it's good to have 1 spear, and you're going to want these specific perks on them. So you're going to want 1 spear at least in your group that has Enfeebling Skewer. You're going to want to have at least 1 axe in your group that has Enfeebling Maelstrom. And then it's good if you can have at least 1 hammer in your group that has Sundering Shockwave. So a spear is going to be our damage weapon. Say we're rocking spear and axe, but literally we can get away with a spear that just has Bane and Enfeebling Skewer. And of course, we are applying our coats, and you should try and at least have basic trophies. They're pretty cheap to get. So you could see here, we have our basic trophies. Reasonably cheap to get these. You don't need the major combats. So 3 major combats versus 3 basic combats, they're only going to give you 3% total extra damage, and they cost a lot of gold. So definitely you want to get trophies. You want to get 3 trophies that are at least basic. You're going to want to be running, you're going to want to run. I would suggest get the infused coatings, just one way to get a little extra damage out of it. Sure, you could go with the powerful instead of the infused, but I'd suggest, this is where you make up for any lost damage with this. And, obviously you need to have a honing stone. You can do a common, I would say go at least up to a powerful. Personally, I do like to use the tier 5 ones, but they are a little bit expensive, so it's very acceptable if you go with a powerful, the tier 4 one. So, but I typically will rock the tier 5 ones myself. So there you have it. You don't need anything crazy for perks. So on your DPS, as long as you have the proper weapons, the weapon choices, and you have 1 or 2 of the proper perks, you don't need to have crazy 5 perks on every single piece of gear. Some people think you need to have maybe even 15 perks on per set of per piece. If you don't have 15 perks on this piece of gear, they might not take you in their group. But that's not how it works. It really comes down to just having proper comps and having teams that understand the dungeon and players that understand the mechanics much more than your gear. So you want to have a few pieces with a few selective, you want the attributes obviously in the right place, and you do want to have a few of the right perks. But outside of that, you don't need anything crazy. Literally could get away with 5 pieces of 1 perk gear. You have to have ward. 3 pieces of jewelry with 2 perkers, and then 2 weapons with 2 perkers. and you could do perfectly fine in dungeons. Heck, I'm tempted to do a little challenge where I start doing that. The only problem with that is it costs lots of umbral shards, and well, maybe one of these days when I stop finding new sets I want to level up, I will do that, but I keep burning through these things like crazy, so can't guarantee that video is going to come in the near future, but we'll see what we can do. But other than that, I guess you could say I've already done videos like that because, for example, my tanking gear for my Lost set, when I come to the B&B, it's, for all intent and purpose, it's 1 perkers on my armor. And for running the Genesis as a tank, for all intent and purposes, it's all 1 perkers on my armor. You know, a couple pieces with, you know, 1 with accelerated resolve. So I got 1 piece for Genesis, that's 2 perker, and I got 2 pieces for the B&B that are 2 perkers. And other than that, you just have the weapons with some semi-proper perks, and, you know, jewelry with at least 2 of the right perks each, and you're gonna be golden. So I hope that helps out some. You know, people are getting a little bit carried away with what they insist everybody has to have on their gear, but know that you don't have to invest millions and millions of gold just to get involved in mutations. Just get started, get a weapon with the proper perk, and make sure you have ward and a gem slot and the attributes in the right place, and you're going to be perfectly fine. So that's going to cover it for this video. I hope you have a good one, and we'll catch you next time.